If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will save it.
Death is our ultimate fear because death marks the end of our story. After death comes the unknown, and not knowing strikes fear deep in our hearts. The good news of the gospel, though, is that Jesus came to bring us life, life without end, to give us life to the fullest, and he did it by taking on our death curse. Jesus willingly took up a cross, died the most horrible way possible, in order to give us life and set us free from death forever. Jesus calls his disciples to be marked the same way, to take up their cross like he did, to come and die with him, laying down their lives, ultimately sacrificing them for something greater. This death metaphor is central to the gospel. Jesus said that unless a seed falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. A disciple's life is marked by this death. Jesus said to take up your cross daily. Now, there's two things we need to understand first. First of all, the disciples didn't yet really comprehend that that's where Jesus was headed. They didn't know he was going to a cross to be crucified. Secondly, these disciples had to be familiar with the image of a condemned man carrying a beam, carrying his cross someplace outside the city to be executed. Hundreds, thousands of people had been executed by the Romans in this way. And this image of a man carrying that beam, carrying his cross, this man was as good as dead. He was forced to participate in his own execution. Jesus is saying that the disciple must do that willingly, and we do that for him. You see, a disciple not only denies himself and surrenders his life to God, now he must take up his cross. Nothing of this world really interests him anymore except serving God and his kingdom agenda. Like the Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 14, he said, if we live to the Lord. And if we die to the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. Now, this doesn't mean we go looking for death like a Muslim extremist or some kind of a Christian cult or somebody with a death wish. What it does mean is that we're willing to pay the ultimate price. We're willing to make the ultimate sacrifice every day. Let me give you an example of this. Guys that have come back from war, soldiers, veterans that I talk to, they say the same thing. They say a soldier becomes the most effective. He's the most courageous when he's given up hope of survival, when he's ready to lay down his life. A soldier becomes most dangerous to the enemy when he's resolved that his life is not his own. He's as good as dead. If he's a dead man anyway, what's the big deal if he lays his life down? In Galatians 2:20 it says, I've been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. So taking up your cross is not just difficulties, the difficulties of life. You hear people say, oh, it's a cross that I have to bear, but I don't think that's what Jesus is talking about here. That's overcome with perseverance and hard work. Taking up your cross is offering yourself daily as a living sacrifice. In Romans chapter 12, Paul says that we're to offer our bodies as living sacrifices. That means every day we crawl up on an altar and offer our lives to God. We live like a dead person. We're a dead man walking. And in this living death comes amazing freedom. Freedom to live a dangerous life, risking everything for my King, with my future in his hands. I am now free to sell my life dearly. Do this out of love for your master. I heard a story once of a young boy, and his little sister was dying and was in desperate need of a blood transfusion. The doctors informed the parents, and after doing some tests, they found that the only one that could possibly provide this transfusion was the boy. The parents talked to him and asked him if he was willing, and for a little guy, that's a big thing. That's a big needle. But after thinking about it, he agreed to go through with the procedure. And so as the doctors and the nurses were getting him ready, he's up on the table. They're rolling up his sleeve. They're getting out the tools to take his blood. The boy looks up at his mother and he asks one question. As brave as he can, but with his bottom lip shaking, he says, "Will it hurt when I die?" You see, the little boy was ready to give all his blood. Until we die to ourselves, until we take up the cross, we never find real life. We thrash around in a barren no man's land. We hold on to the world in one hand and try to grasp onto God with the other. The only way through that space is to let go and die to the world. To find eternal life, we have to die to the life that won't last. It's all or nothing, and we have to step into the unknown, to trust Jesus with our life and our death. A disciple takes up his cross daily, and in doing so finds the freedom of living a life sacrificed unto God. To get busy living, you have to get busy dying.